You know, I grew up, we didn't know the things that you do in the city.
City folks, yeah.
I remember when my dad, when I was young, he took me the first time we ever went to the city. And we saw an elevator, and by God, my dad didn't know what it was, and I didn't know what it was. Mm-hmm. And we see the doors, it was just magic doors to us. That's what my dad called it. The doors open, and a big, fat, old, ugly woman in a wheelchair got in. Mm-hmm. And then the doors closed. And then the doors open again, and a beautiful blonde walks out. And my dad says, "Quick, go get your mother." Now...
All right, today is Thursday, October 26th, and this is going to be a really quick update. I wasn't going to even make a video today, but a couple of cool things happened throughout the trading day today that I wanted to just kind of document, just so I don't forget them. My memory is failing me as I'm continuing into boomerhood, and these videos are actually really good for myself to document all these different trades I'm making and the way I'm adjusting them, just so I can have it as a good reference point. So there's two things that happened with my trades today that I wanted to just kind of make a note on here. And the first one is this cool magic floating adjustment, this levitation trade. With this current money glitch trade that we have on, we covered this one yesterday. This is just one of the ones that were open where I adjusted it yesterday to bring this line up. So the risk graph is totally above the zero line now. But as the day started today, the trading day, the market was down again, and we had pretty much come up here with this pink 0-day line. It had risen up and was pretty much meeting the blue line, which means it was kind of at like capacity of like what it could make. So the blue line is the expiration line, and it's showing $2,895. And this pink line yesterday, the pink line was down further. We hadn't reached that whole profit potential amount, but with the move down this morning, or was just the way that the options were priced this morning, it was up close, very close to it. So I just decided to do an adjustment on this trade to lock in those profits. So the adjustment that I made was like this. You can see it just kind of rose everything up. It rose up this right hand side of the risk graph like a lot. Before it was like around $700 of guaranteed profit, and it locked in like $1,000 there. You can see now it's a guaranteed profit of $1,717 on the upside. On the downside, it's $2,070, and we still have this tent here. The whole thing is floating really nicely above the zero line. The zero line is, you can't even see the zero line on this risk graph. You can see that the $1,000 mark is here, so it's way down in here somewhere. So this is a completely risk-free position now. I've locked in the profits, and I'm at the maximum I could probably get on the downside here. If there's a crash, I'll just have $2,070 locked in. But I didn't take the whole trade off because there's this is about a week away from expiring. So there is the potential, if the market comes back up, to get to milk a little bit more profits out of this section right here. So I just wanted to show that adjustment that was made this morning, how we're way above the zero line now. But then right away, I also did an adjustment where we added a trade to this position, which is a really cool concept. And it's not always needed or necessary or a good idea. It depends on the trade that you're in and what how much time you have left and whatnot. But basically what this is doing, since we now have $2,000 locked in here, no matter what, and worst case scenario, we have $1,716. I'm saying to myself, is there any way to get some more profit out of this area? And we can add any kind of option strategy that we want here, as long as it doesn't exceed the full profit that I have in here, so that it creates a loss, and also knowing that it will potentially decrease the guaranteed profit at some point down here. So it will no longer be 2,070 at some point. But if we can create a structure that we're comfortable with in this area here, where the risk of that new structure isn't more than the profit that we have locked in, there's the potential ability to generate more profits from it. So just imagine take an iron condor, for example. We could take this position here where we have a guaranteed profit, and we could layer an iron condor on it and potentially get more profits out of this than the 2,000 that we have in, but also realizing at the same time that it could decrease the guaranteed profit amount on these outer edges somewhere. So I just went ahead and I did that adjustment just as an example. So I'll just go ahead and I'll layer that in now. What I did, I basically just layered in an iron condor on top. Okay, here's one side of the iron condor right here. You can see you could just do one side if you wanted. So this is one side. This is a credit spread, a put credit spread here. And you can see with this on, it raises up the profit potential, like right where we're at, up to 2,550. You can see it here, this blue number. So if it were to stay right here for the rest of this trade, it would take it from our guaranteed profit right now. The max we can get is 2,077. If we were to layer on a credit spread, we can get a little bit more. In this area here, we can have a guaranteed profit of at least 2,550, so about $500 more of profit. But at the same time, you have to realize that it falls off here, and from this point down, we're not going to make that 2,000 of guaranteed profit anymore. You can adjust the trade so that you get some profit. So for example, with this setup, we still have $50 worth of profit all the way down. So no matter what, we'll win, but there's the risk of not profiting as much as we could if we didn't for the extra 500. So here it is without that credit spread, guaranteed profit of 2,000. With the put credit spread, we had the ability to make $500 more or $550 more if it stays from here up. And if it doesn't, we'll still win. We're not going to lose any money in this trade, but we just won't make as much without it. So that's with the put credit spread. Now, if we add the other side of the iron condor, the call credit spread, create a trade like this, or an adjustment like this. And so now where we're at with this structure here, this iron condor layered on top of this risk-free position, we have the ability to make up to 3,000 in this area. So we can make a guaranteed profit of $3,010 if it stays in this area for the next week, where before we only had the ability to make 2,000. So we added a potential to make $1,000 more in this area. But then again, the same thing is going to fall off here, and we're not going to lose. Worst case scenario now with this setup is we'll make $510 all the way to zero. So we still have a guaranteed trade here, guaranteed risk-free trade. It's just we're risking the ability to make if the underlying were to move down here, we won't make as much with this one if we had not placed this trade, if that makes sense. And you can adjust the width of the wings on any of these trades so that you stay within a profit no matter what happens. So for right now, you can see on the upside, no matter what happens with this on, we'll make 163 if it were to take off. There's a lot of additional profit potential here if it were to come up, which we could make all the way up into there. Here we have $1,000 now more with this adjustment we could make. But if it comes down, if the underlying trades from this point down, we won't make 2,000 that we had guaranteed before, but we'll still make something. We'll make 510. And I'm just going to take the risk graph. I'm going to tick forward day by day so you can kind of get an idea of how this pink 0 day line will move as we progress day by day over the next week. So this is today. We'll go forward by 1 day. That's 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. So you can see 5 days from now with this risk graph, with the pink line is showing that this will become the risk graph. So we'll get closer to that 500 here. If the underlying were to move up, you can see how we still get a good profit amount right there. And even in here, we're up 2,800. And down here, we have a little bit of area here where if it were just kind of if the SPX were to continue down, we could get out at some profit potential here before we hit that 500 base there. So this just kind of gives you an idea of what the risk graph does as it transforms into this on expiration day. Let's see if I can go another day forward. So that's probably the day of, yeah. So this is the day before. And this won't be exactly like this, but it gives you a general idea of how the risk graph will transform as we move forward day by day over the next week. So I just wanted to make a quick video on this. The ability to add additional positions or layer additional positions on top of a risk-free trade. It gives you a lot of versatility and flexibility. And sometimes it doesn't make any sense to do it. If there was 1 day left in the trade or a couple of days left, this adjustment may not make any sense. Or if you didn't want the hassle of having to kind of monitor this to see if we fall off this edge or not, it may not be the right kind of adjustment for you, but it is an option. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing I wanted to hit on today real quick was yesterday I showed you that wave trade, that longer 30-day trade that I do. We closed one down yesterday for 2,200, and that trade had been on for about a month. They're typically a 30-day trade. But as soon as I took that trade off yesterday and booked my $2,200 profit on that one, I immediately opened a new one, a new 30-day trade, same strategy, that wave strategy. So here's that trade. Here's that wave trade. So this trade I just put on yesterday. I closed down the one that I had on for the previous 30 days with a profit. I closed it out for $2,200 some dollars. And then I immediately turned around and I put on a new one for the next 30 days. And this is it. And when I logged in this morning and checked it out, it was already in profit up to like $1,500. And you can see it now. This is after the market's closed. It's showing 4,000. So I'm sort of kicking myself a little bit for not holding out and waiting. But when a trade like that gets into profit super quick, like this was like within a day, it had basically hit my profit target. And it usually takes 30 days. And just from experience and seeing these before, the price can kind of bump around and fluctuate kind of crazy occasionally. And if you're ever given that opportunity to grab your profit quickly, I've always found it better just to take it, because if I had just let the trade on, that pricing could have come back in line and the profit that was showing could have just gone back to break even, kind of fluctuate and then come back down. So it's sort of like kind of a weird pricing thing. And we could even look tomorrow and this could be back down to like a break even level. So it's just, I saw the opportunity. This popped up into profit, pretty much hit profit target immediately within one day. Again, when these usually take 30 days. So I went ahead and I just closed that out, and I didn't get 38.79, which would have been great. But what I did get was $1,500. So that was basically a $1,500 one-day trade. Closed it out, banked those profits, and then I can open a new one tomorrow. So it's sort of like I got an extra month in here, because usually these take 30 days. But if I was able to open one yesterday and close it out the next day, it's sort of like I got, an additional, like a bonus month. So the lesson I guess to be learned from this is just to always keep your eye on these trades, because I tend to think of these as longer term trades, and I'll just set them and forget them. So I would have placed it yesterday, and like a lot of times I wouldn't have even looked at it today. Maybe a week before I even look at it. And had I done that, I may not have seen this, and I wouldn't have been able to like take advantage of this weird kind of pop that happened. So anyway, that's it for today. If you'd like to follow along with me on these trades, just make sure that you're subscribed to my channel. I'm doing a whole video series on these. There's a bunch of different setups and adjustments and kind of just cool tricks like this that we can do with them. And also be sure to join me on my website, and I'll leave a link to that, to my website, in the description below. So that's it for today. See you tomorrow.